triumphs, and unexpected twists and turns. The human journey can be beautifully linked to a river, constantly flowing towards its ultimate destination, the vast and boundless ocean. The human journey can be beautifully linked to a river, constantly flowing towards its ultimate destination, the vast and boundless ocean. The individual soul, with its unique course, flows through the landscape of life, encountering joys and sorrows, successes and failures, attachments and aversions through experiences. The river, driven by an inherent momentum, inevitably flows towards the ocean. This journey for the individual soul is a spiritual quest, a seeking of truth, a yearning for liberation from the limitations of the individual existence. Just as a river eventually merges with the ocean, losing its individual identity while becoming part of the vast expanse, so too does the individual soul, upon attaining enlightenment, merge with Brahman. This union is not a cessation of existence. This union is not a cessation of existence, but rather a realization of the true nature of reality, that the individual soul is not separate from the universal consciousness, but rather an inseparable part of it. The flow of life is an unending current of being, an ending current of being, as similar to the movement of water. There is a lot we should learn from water, its nature and its behavior, its fluidity and adaptability, if we really want to learn how to navigate the waters of life. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's good to be back, and Happy New Year, 2025. Last time I saw you was last year. Today, as you have noticed, the subject, we are going to go a little Zen. The topic today is Be Adaptable, flow like water. I've been contemplating about this, and looks like we, all of us as spiritual seekers, we have a hard time applying these principles and these tools that are coming from Vedanta, first of all, as knowledge and wisdom, and then from yoga, all these tools that are presented to us so that we can focus and concentrate our minds. And as we always say, pay attention or be mindful of what's going on in your own minds. We all love philosophy. We fall in love with Vedanta. It gives us that inner peace that connects us with freedom. But at the same time, why life is so hard? Why is it so difficult to apply this in our lives? It seems as if we have to behave like saints and not allow ourselves to be natural and to be ourselves. Naturally, we have to behave, but leading a dharmic way of life is essential, no doubt about it. But sometimes we try so hard to be spiritual. You know what I mean? And it's difficult. We make it more difficult instead of understanding that in order to, the goal of yoga is to stay calm. We end up being tense and rigid. And somebody asked me the other day, but because I'm going to go to the point, right? That is, Life is inevitable. We all have to live. And in order to live, there is this inevitable force that's coming from within us, that is called desire or want. We are wanting people, and we want all the time. So how to live? Lead a spiritual life among all these wants and desires that we are unable to control as if. So I thought about it, and I ran into this book, Be Like Water, and I read part of it, and I thought, well, that's a very good analogy, really, because two things are essential in our lives. That is to understand who we are and what's the purpose of our lives. According to Vedanta, we need to understand and accept that we are that already, that we are that self that manifests through all of us as us. What is that us? Consciousness, awareness of our existence, that you cannot deny. Regardless of all our labels and all our identity that we have, when it comes to ourselves, nobody can deny that you exist. And that makes you conscious beings. And that's where Vedanta wants to go. First and foremost, you are conscious beings. You are the witness of all the changes that happen before you. First screen is that your mind. You identify with your mind. And the mind is connected to the senses and sense objects. And we go outside, we fall in love with this world, looking for what is already our own nature, that inner peace that we all want. And we get attached. Inevitably, we get trapped. So we need to find a way. And the Zen is very good at that. I mean, the Tao Te Ching, is very good at that. And it gives us these tools coming from nature. Observe nature. Life is just like water. So, I guess looking for that ultimate satisfaction that we all want, we call it happiness. We identify with the sense objects, and we want. And what do? We end up, in this loop of constantly wanting. Now, whenever you acquire something, now that you have it, you want something else. It might be somewhere else. You fall in love with somebody. Once you marry that person, then you are like, I guess it was. I guess it wasn't her or him, and you keep wondering, well, now I'm here, now I have a commitment. So naturally, we don't experience that ultimate satisfaction that we all want. And that we expect from life. Life demands constant engagement. We are constantly engaged with life. So I guess we need to learn how to navigate these waters of life. And I said waters. So we need to understand or contemplate at least upon the nature of water. In Vedanta, we also do the same. First of all, I told you we need to accept what we are, who we are, as divine beings, consciousness, awareness, and knowledge. And the second thing that we are, Vedanta demands us to understand is nature, our relationship with nature. Are you familiar with all this? What is nature? In Vedanta, we call it Maya. And Maya is in charge of all this. And we are thrown into these waters without a lifesaver, nothing. These rapids of life. And we go desperate, trying to figure this out. We are slaves of these laws. And that is something that we need to understand and study. We call these three forces, it's called the three gunas. Remember that. People get tired of, again, the three gunas, Swami. You should never get tired of this, because the three gunas is the secret. If you understand the three gunas, you can understand your mind. What's going on in your mind? It's not you. It's just the gunas in your mind, governing, dominating your mind. So our goal, according to Vedanta, is to become a wise person. According to Gita, we call that wise man a jnani, the knower of the truth. In the chapter number 7, that jnani is defined as the big jnani or Brahma jnani, the one who has attained total communion with that ultimate truth or reality we call Brahman. So we're going to call him the jnani. It's a type of devotee. In the Gita also, Krishna calls him a type of devotee. He excels among all my devotees. And by devotees, he means all those who resort to him as the ultimate reality. In other words, all those who resort to God. And we resort to God for different reasons. In the beginning, they are very selfish motives. We want to stop our sufferings. We want to enjoy life. We want to, to have everything we want, wealth, prosperity. And we hear that the only way to do it is through God. God will help us achieve our goals. Very selfish indeed, but doesn't matter. Krishna says in the Gita, I don't care. If you come to me, I will take care of you. And then when we gain enough life experience, we seem to understand that this is not so easy. The more you enjoy, or you think you are enjoying, the more you realize that you are being enjoyed by life. You are being enjoyed by life. And then you wake up and you become another type of devotee. All you care about is to know God and to understand what God is. Until you become the greatest devotee. Krishna calls him the jnani, the one who has become one with him, who is devoid of all sorts of labels and identity. In fact, he talks of himself as God himself. His identity with the totality is so strong, he can't help it. It's a case, very well-known case, Jesus, for example. I and my Father are one. His identity was absolute. And many other world teachers talk that way. The case of Sri Ramakrishna, he used to call her mother. Just listen to a beautiful song on mother. So that identity becomes so strong that the individual being vanishes and merges into this ocean. sooner or later we learn that our goal is self-mastery. Our goal is to find that union with Brahman, with God, our divine nature. The goal of Vedanta is to master that identity, my individual self. My sense of awareness and consciousness is one with that totality. We call it, in Vedanta, we call him Brahman. It's one and the same, one and the same. And if we think about it, all we are looking for is already with us. Doesn't go anywhere. It's always with us. It's always within us. So we need to understand and, make that connection. We engage, we try to master that connection through the idea of God. We have a relationship with that ultimate reality through the concept of God. Is that clear? You relate to your own self through God. God carries meaning. So when you think of him, you connect with your own nature. The world is in a constant state of flux. Everything is born, grows, and eventually decays. This understanding of impermanence encourages a sense of detachment from the fleeting nature of worldly experiences and a focus on the eternal, the unchanging self. The fleeting nature of worldly experiences, constantly changing. And we need to focus on the eternal, the unchanging self. Just as water seamlessly transitions between states, adapting to its surroundings, the individual soul must learn to navigate the ever-changing currents of life with grace and acceptance. Ever-changing currents of life. As you can see, we can't avoid, we can't deny that life is nothing but change. But for something to change, there must be something that is unchanging, that is witnessing the changes of life. And guess who that is? Your real self. Your real self. What seems to be the problem? The problem is that we want. And we don't even know what we want in life. One thing is true, as human beings, we need to cover our basic needs. That comes from the point of view of security. We need to feel secure. We need a roof, we need food, our basic needs. And for that we have to work. Is it true? Work really hard to make a living. And that starts the wheel of life. Wants. We desire. We are called to do something. We have to work to achieve what we want. In Vedanta, we call that artha. Security, wealth. That demands a lot from us. And some of us, we don't even have time to live. Because all we do is work to cover our basic needs. We barely have time for ourselves to enjoy life. We simply keep rowing until we reach that state of stability. We have enough. Now let me enjoy life. Let me have nice holidays or vacation somewhere. Go to a 5-star hotel, nice beach, San Diego also. Can go to that hotel. What's the name? That beautiful. That is.
Hotel Del Coronado.
Oh yeah, Conrad. And so we want to enjoy life. And the moment we start enjoying, we get the taste of it, and we want more and more and more. And we want more means. That comes in the form of money. Another problem. In that pursuit, now fully focus on enjoying life by pursuing what we call in Sanskrit kama. From artha, we move to kama. Once we cover our basic needs, now we are ready to enjoy life. In the beginning, we find it very pleasurable, very entertaining, until we understand it was a trap. Life is fraught with miseries and disappointments, my friends. And you, by now, you know all that. You have enough experience. Ups and downs, unexpected surprises and challenges. We call that changes. Changes. In those two stages of life, we understand there is a problem. The problem, there are certain aspects of life outside of our control, constantly changing. We are thrown, as it were, into the waters of life without lifesavers. We are thrown into these rapids, and we are supposed to stay calm and not freak out or fall into desperation. We need to find our center. And we do that by holding tight to that which doesn't change. What is that doesn't change? What is that? The self. And the self is in the form of, in the Bhagavad Gita, we call him Krishna. In the Bible, he appears as Jesus. These symbols of the totality, so-called world teachers. Some of you call him Buddha. And by having a relationship with that ultimate reality, we call him God. We come back to ourselves and tap into our own nature. And then we experience peace. The idea of God is all over our scriptures. Ishvara, the Lord, Brahman, with different aspects, of course. Regardless, one thing is true. We are already in these waters, and we have to keep dancing. I always like to take that example from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We are thrown into a pan on a stove. Fire is burning, and we are in that already, simmering in that oil. We have to dance, like the vegetables. So, what should we learn from water? What attitude should we cultivate by observing water and its nature? Can we get something out of it? I think so. Water, in its purest form, is ever changing. It adapts to its surroundings, curving paths through rocks, evaporating into the skies, and condensing into rain. It takes the shape of its container, flows effortlessly around obstacles, and finds its way out. It seamlessly transitions from liquid to solid to vapor, demonstrating remarkable fluidity and adaptability. This fluidity is crucial. It's a crucial quality for human beings to cultivate. In a world of constant change and uncertainty, clinging rigidly to fixed ideas, beliefs, and expectations can lead to suffering and stagnation. What happens to stagnated water? You don't want that. Just as a rigid rock is easily broken by the force of water, inflexible individuals are more likely to be shattered by life's challenges. Inflexible individuals, rigid. Let's see what the Tao Te Ching has to say about it. Soft and strong. Water is fluid, soft and yielding. Yielding, not unyielding. But water will wear away a rock, which is rigid and cannot yield. As a rule, whatever is fluid, soft, and yielding will overcome whatever is rigid and hard. Whatever is soft, fluid, yielding will overcome whatever is rigid and hard. The wise knows that yielding overcomes resistances, and gentleness melts rigid defenses. The wise does not fight the force of the people's energy, but flows and yields and absorbs and lets go. A wise man must endure a great deal of abuse. If he were not like water, then he would break. We should cultivate the ability to be soft. This is another paradox. What is soft is strong. Goodness. True goodness is like water. It nurtures everything and harms nothing. Like water, it ever seeks the lowest place, the place that all others avoid. This is the way of the Tao. For a dwelling, it chooses a quiet meadow. For a heart or its center, the eddy, a circling eddy. In generosity, it is kind. In speech, it is sincere. In power, it is order. In action, it is gentle. In movement, it is rhythm. Because it is always peaceable, it soothes and refreshes. We are all struggling as rivers to find our way to the ocean. We are all struggling as rivers to find our way to the ocean. We cannot afford to get stagnated. In fact, water is never stagnant. It is always in motion, constantly transforming and renewing itself. That's why we need a space, we need freedom. Just like we make this analogy with water and understand its nature of fluidity and adaptability, we have to understand the nature of the waters of life. Vedanta, we talk about these laws of nature. You must be familiar with them. Devi hyesha gunamai mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante maya medam tarantite. This flow, these waters, in Vedanta we call it Maya. Indeed, this Maya, which belongs to me, says the Lord, Krishna, which is the modification of these three forces, we call them gunas. It's difficult to cross. These gunas, the nature of this water, it's very difficult to cross. Those who seek only me, those who seek me only, they cross this Maya, the ever-changing nature of God. Ever-changing nature of God. See how similar it is? So we have to behave and understand what is the way. Like water. Do I have time? No. You are all familiar with these forces, right? These forces, we call them the three gunas. These are essential to understand, because they affect your mind all the time. They are fighting with each other for dominance. One thing is true, as spiritual seekers, we need to stay calm. In fact, all sadhanas, all spiritual practices aim at being calm, because only in calmness you can behave. You can really navigate these waters. When you get tensed, you react, become rigid. Sometimes you may break too. These three gunas bind the jiva, the embodied being. It is this Maya manifesting as mental modifications that seemingly obstructs the recognition of our own nature. God manifesting through us as the limited I. But it's God already. I know it's very hard to accept this, but in Vedanta you can compromise this. First thing first, understand what and who you are, and try to manifest. If you don't accept that, difficult. The only way out is through knowledge. So constantly you have to assert and be reminded of your own nature. That's why we relate to God as a means that helps us connect with that. What happens when you pray, when you meditate? You seem to like it, you experience peace. You think it's God, it's coming from within you. It's your own nature. That's why we are encouraged to practice yoga. But yoga is nothing but means. Religious practices. We should not forget that the ultimate goal of Vedanta is to make that identity one with the ultimate reality of Brahman, the totality. And that is not for tomorrow. It is here and now. Don't think, no, maybe next life. It's always with you. Always. So you have to assert yourself as divine beings all the time. I know you have a hard time because, it's easier to identify ourselves with limited beings and, full of flaws and, I'm a bad person, I'm not good enough. But that's not true. The self is already pure. You're already a pure being. You just need to manifest that and tap into that. That is the real practice. So when it comes to navigating these waters of life, can you be tensed? Can you be worried about that you're not manifesting enough? Can, because life is a spontaneity. The self is already happening. Your divine being is already present. So you should draw a smile on your faces. Relax. I know. We are in these waters. We are in this life. We are trapped here in all these laws. Just know they are nothing but laws. They can't really bind you. If you think that way, it's going to be easier for you to experience peace. If you get trapped in these forces, these false identifications, then you suffer. That doesn't mean that you don't take responsibility, don't get me wrong. The moment you assert your own identity with the totality, you have to behave. Because you have to see yourself in others. So you're trapped. You can't be selfish, You have to practice what all spiritual life is all about. In one word, unselfishness. One needs to go beyond these three gunas, master these waters, these forces of nature. One needs to become a trigunatita, one who is beyond the three characteristics primary to human qualities, the gunas, namely sattva, equanimity and balance, raja, energetic activity, and tamas, dullness and inertia. How do you master these forces? It's easier to experience tamas, right? Dullness, inertia. Can you move from tamas to sattva? Peace, peace, peace. That sometimes is very deceiving. Some people think that, by doing nothing, that's sattva itself. I'm already at peace. I don't have to work. I have to do nothing. That's wrong. That is maya. You are being overpowered by tamas. The only way out of tamas is get busy, rajas. And from rajas, you can come down, sattva. And from sattva, you can move forward and tap into your own nature and become or be a master of your own self. It is possible. Unless we are able to see ourselves as distinct from these forces, as the witness. We cannot recognize them as the causes of the activities in our own minds. unless we separate ourselves. Oh, it's not my mood. These are the forces working in my mind. We need to work, a little bit. Vedanta demands a little exercise. The vichara. You have to discern and be alert. In Buddhism we call it be mindful. I was giving a talk the other day on other verses from chapter number 7 from the Gita, and talks about that different people, maybe it's coming here a little bit, different devotees, resort to God for different goals or aims. In order to do that, they practice different rites or rituals. Or if I do this, God will give me what I want. And sometimes in India, they have to utter mantras. That needs to be perfectly done, perfectly uttered. Otherwise, it won't work. There is faith attached to that rite, to that ritual, to that practice. So, the one thing is true, somehow we need to satisfy our needs, and we do that through the idea or symbol of God. How to move away, how to overcome, how to cross these three forces we call Maya. We call them Maya in Vedanta. It's all over the Bhagavad Gita. It's all over the Upanishads. The only way is through coming back to yourself, know who you are. In dualistic practices, that self comes in the form of the Lord. The only way to overcome, to master these waters of life is through Him. Krishna says all over the place, those who seek me can cross these waters of Maya. Those who come back to me. And they are true promises. So, by now we know that the abode of the Lord, He's everywhere, according to our scriptures, but if He is everywhere, He's also within us. And we can have a direct relationship with Him within ourselves. We naturally go outside through our senses, but very few of us know exactly how to go within, or practice, or they commit enough to have an inner life. We are masters of the external life, but we have to master that inner life. Without that, we are nothing but slaves. Where is He? Within you, as the witness. Yes, these talks, I like to talk, and then I have to explain everything. It takes time. We have to understand He's already with us and manifest Himself as the witness. Those who seek me alone. Me, who is the nature of oneself, my real self. So we need to tap into that reality. I already mentioned in the beginning, why can we not remember Him? Why do we forget Him? What seems to be the problem? The problem is that we are addicted to peace. We want to be fulfilled and be completely satisfied. And because we lead this external, in this external world, we fall attached. We create relationship with the external world Mm? And we are deceived into thinking that when I acquire this or that, I will have that peace that I want. And guess what happens? It's never enough. It's never enough. The only way out is to come back to ourselves and have an inner life. By taking refuge in Him, by having a relationship with Him through the symbol of God, is the only way out. In the Bhagavad Gita, we find this statement in chapter 18. Always think of me. Be devoted to me. Worship me and offer obeisance to me. Doing so, you will certainly come to me. This is my pledge to you. For you are very dear to me. Become one whose mind is offered to me, not just once a day, all the time. It's not enough to just sit in the morning and all the time. That is the way. Become one whose mind is offered to me, one whose devotion is to me only, one whose worship is to me. Do salutations to me all the time. Because I'm everywhere. You will reach me. I truly promise you, the Lord says. So, is it a matter of belief? Maybe. Why not try? We already tried the opposite, meaning not to remember Him, again, get lost in these rapids of life. So if we have a way out, if there is a way, a recipe, why don't we just commit to it? Maybe by trying, you're going to like it. Just as we fall attached to our sense objects, our external life, if we try getting that inner bliss, we'll get attached to it. We'll like it. We'll visit that inner space more often. We'll make efforts. That's what needs to happen to all of us. The way out of this labyrinth is within us. The way out of this maze is not outside, my friends. I'm convinced. I'm just simply following what Krishna says. Be adaptable. Flow like water. To resist change is to resist life itself. To flow like water is to embody the essence of adaptability, remaining flexible, resilient, and open to change. Water teaches us to navigate obstacles with grace, persist in the face of challenges, and embrace transformation as a natural part of life. By adopting the qualities of water, we can cultivate a mindset that allows us to thrive in any situation, turning life's uncertainties into opportunities for growth. Just as a river eventually merges with the ocean, losing its individual identity while becoming part of the vast expanse. So too does the individual soul upon attaining enlightenment, merge with Brahman. This union is not a cessation of existence, but rather a realization of the true nature of reality, that the individual soul is not separate from the universal consciousness, but one with it. The flow of life is an unending current of being. An ending current of being, as similar as the movement of water. So thank you. I have to stick to the time, but so to summarize this, as you can see, we need to, or if you pay attention to all these teachers, world teachers, they observe nature. And I think this is an invitation to observe how we should behave in life. What is the attitude that we should have? Because inevitably we are led by desires. And you might have heard in Vedanta, it's all about the annihilation of the desires. But is it true? Can you stop desiring? It's difficult. Can you imagine yourself not desiring, not even to breathe? What's going to happen to you? When you are hungry, can you stop desiring that? So the problem is not the desire. It's what happens to you with the desire. It's what you do, what attitude do you have when it comes to desire. Desires can definitely bind you if you allow them to do so. The desire itself is not wrong. It's the lack of understanding that there are binding desires. When you go obsess, and you think that's going to be the only way out for your satisfaction or your peace. So to be natural and to flow in life like water is to accept that life is as it is. But you have to stay alert so that you don't get trapped into these binding desires. Just be natural. You don't have to try hard to be spiritual. We are already spiritual beings. All we need is to behave, to accept what we are and behave accordingly. Whatever I want for myself, I have to give it to others. Life is full of surprises and challenges. Imagine what happened to all these people who suddenly have nowhere to go. How do you deal with that? Thank you. If you have any questions.
We have time for a question or two. I have one then. Thank you, first of all, for the wonderful promotion. I try my best, but during the rapids, I feel the boulders. I don't flow around them. When I go over the cliff, I'm not an Olympic diver. I belly flop into the thing and feel that too. Any tricks, anything to try to remember to flow like water, to not get attached to the pains and sufferings and worldly things that come with?
Yes, I mean, as you can see, when you're in the rapids, what happens to us? We just like, we go desperate, right? We freak out. It's like, Can you control that?
Semi?
The only way to control is to control yourself, to control your attitude. The rapids will do its thing. It will come a time when the rapids will be no rapids, no more rapids. So you need to understand that. So while surfing, just surf. Okay? But you have to keep your calm. For that, spiritual practices are essential. If you don't visit your heart every day, you're going to go crazy. And that's what happens to most of us in this world. We start depending on pills to sleep, or any other external thing. So watch out. Whenever you feel like that, you should know that you are not paying enough attention to your inner life. You are not praying enough. You are not meditating enough. Not because you are bad. You're not doing it. So when you do it, all these problems will go. So commitment is essential in our spiritual life. Commitment every day until it becomes your second nature. Practice, practice, practice until you just suddenly you remember the Lord all the time. You master that. That's our goal, to remember the Lord all the time.